Let's talk about how a trading card game turned into one of the largest investment assets in the entire world. By March 2025, global production for the Pokemon trading card game surpassed 75 billion cards. Placed end to end, 75 billion cards would wrap around the earth 165 times. In 2024 alone, the manufacturer produced 10 billion cards. Welcome to the new collectible market. What started as a localized tabletop game in 1996 is now a complex multi-billion-dollar asset class. Today we're breaking down the economy of Pokemon cards. We're going to analyze print velocity, empirical sales data, and the absolute math governing the secondary market. You might have seen news articles of Pokemon cards selling for millions and millions of dollars. We're going to help break down why and how that happened. By March 2023, the global print volume reached 52.9 billion cards. In 2023, there was a $12 billion print run. In 2024, another 10 billion cards were printed. Pokemon is printing more than ever. In 2024 alone, they printed about 13% of all Pokemon cards ever created. So they've really amped up the print run to respond to this market. Now, the Pokemon company directly dictates the print runs and wholesale allocations. They executed a massive expansion in their production capacity to suppress the supply shortages, but also the scalping that really took place in 2020 and 2021, which we also still see today. Flooding the market with more and more cards ensure that product remains accessible to casual players, families at standard retail prices. Despite the hyperinflationary print velocity, modern premium assets hold robust value due to the engineered artificial scarcity. Market analysts estimate that over 99% of printed cards are bulk or common cards, possessing zero market liquidity and zero value. Financial value is entirely concentrated with ultra-high rarity classifications. The average pull rate for a modern English special illustration rare is around 1 in 79 packs. Mathematical analysis shows that there were nearly 70% more holographic cards in 1999 than were printed in 2024. The high-end cards printed today are statistically scarcer than the shiny cards from the 90s, allowing them to absorb global demand and maintain that elevated secondary market prices. They're printing more cards than ever, but the valuable cards are printing at a lower rate. Most people will get their Pokemon cards in either brick and mortar stores, at tournaments, or on the secondary market. Different retailers will often purchase collections offering 70 to 80% of the current market value, while digital marketplaces like eBay and TCGplayer dominate data analytics. The physical foundation of the Pokemon economy relies entirely on the local game store ecosystem. The local game store operates in a way where they secure sealed inventory from official distributors, but they also will buy collections from customers offering around 70 to 80%, which immediately gives them 20% in value, in which they can sell to consumers who come into the store. But to survive nowadays, the modern local store is practically forced to integrate with digital platforms, utilizing software to list their physical inventory on global marketplaces simultaneously. The physical to digital bridge ensures that cards traded locally eventually flow into the broader macroeconomic supply pool. From 1999 until 2003, Wizards of the Coast designed, translated, and distributed the Pokemon in all Western markets. In 2003, Nintendo transferred the rights internally, abruptly severing ties with Wizards of the Coast. Wizards filed a lawsuit against Nintendo over contract abandonment and patented game mechanics, ultimately settled out of court in December 2003. This change in the guard created a finite era of collectibles because no further Wizards of the Coast branded Pokemon cards will ever be made. Expansions from 1999 and 2003 serve as the universal gold standard in vintage Pokemon cards. Now, the E-Card series, encompassing the Expedition, Aquapolis, Skyridge, marks the conclusion of the Wizards of the Coast era. The final E-Card set suffered from extremely low print runs due to the waning popularity during that time. Today, those cards demand a high premium due to the sheer scarcity. The vintage market operates as a deflationary asset class. Every sealed booster box that is opened permanently reduces the total global supply because it'll never be printed again. Early production runs contain a lot of quality issues that made really high sought after variants. The English shadowless first edition base set Pikachu features red cheeks because production employees unilaterally altered the art to match the animation guideline. Early printings of the 1999 Jungle expansion omitted the set's defining flower symbol on all of the holographic cards, which impacted around 1 in 8 copies. Manufacturing errors and misprints constitute a highly lucrative submarket. Deviations from the norm create extreme micro macro scarcities that drive specialized investor demand, provided they are verified as authentic factory defects rather than aftermarket alteration, because bad actors will frequently strip ink layers from authentic cards to artificially create the blank borders. The error card economy relies extensively on third-party grading companies to verify legitimacy of misaligned foil stamps or the authentic miscuts. Let's talk grading companies. Companies like PSA, CGC, BGS, and now TAG provide a standardized numerical assessment of a card's physical state, usually from 1 to 10. And then they encapsulate that card in a plastic slab. The unlimited base set Charizard is valued between $2,000 and $3,000 in a grade 9. The exact same card, but in a grade 10, is sometimes valued between $30,000 and $50,000. To grade a card, it usually costs anywhere from $15 to $150, usually depending on how soon you want the card back. The secondary market of any card is always linked to its authenticated physical condition. The introduction of third-party grading fundamentally alters the economic supply curve. A card that is common in a raw condition becomes rare in a pristine grade of 10. This creates the gem mint premium, an aggressive pricing multiplier where a value of 10 exponentially exceeds the 9, even though they're only one grade apart. The physical difference is usually microscopic, such as how centered the card is from the sides or from the corners. Yet, a financial premium assigned to perfection is massive. The grading economy heavily penalizes the inexperienced investor due to its rigid fixed operational costs. Submitting cards that are worth less than $30 raw yields a negative financial return in 95 to 99% of the cases. If over 50% of the cards that are graded for that card are 10s, then the scarcity value is gone. Over half of them are 10s. The 1998 Japanese Koro comic Pikachu Illustrator card is one of the rarest Pokemon cards ever made. There's only 39 copies. In 2021, Logan Paul acquired a grade 10 in a private transaction for $5.2 million. This set a Guinness World Record. In February of 2026, the same card was sold at Golden Auctions to a venture capitalist named AJ Scaramucci for $16.5 million. The ultra high-end vintage market is entirely decoupled from the standard consumer economy. It relies on historical scarcity and operates very similar to the fine art market. At this level, trading cards are utilized strictly for wealth storage, extreme speculative investment, and public relations capital. The $16.5 million transaction demonstrates a fundamental shift in buyer demographics from nostalgic hobbyists to institutional finance professionals. Transactions of this magnitude generate a halo effect across the entire ecosystem, legitimizing the asset class and driving speculative capital downstream into the more accessible cards. There is often a demand tied to artists as well. Cards that are drawn by highly popular Japanese illustrators will sell for a premium in the Japanese market. In 2023, the Van Gogh Museum offered a free promotional Pikachu with a gray felt hat card to visitors. Within hours, the secondary market was flooded with the free cards listed for hundreds of dollars. Now, that card in a 10 is thousands of dollars. Modern market value is heavily generated through cultural phenomena, character popularity, and artificially restricted distribution events. Professional scalpers swarmed the Van Gogh Museum exhibition that was intended for kids, which created dangerous crowds and forced the museum to permanently suspend the on-site distribution of cards. Later, these same scalpers will set up purchasing bots to decimate online inventory of cards. In August of 2022, eBay acquired the massive marketplace called TCGplayer for up to $295 million. The financial velocity of the Pokemon card market relies entirely on secondary digital infrastructure. This corporate consolidation effectively centralized control over digital sales, physical retail operations, and global pricing. By absorbing TCGplayer, eBay cornered the market for trading cards. The Pokemon card economy has transitioned from a network that was decentralized for hobbyists into a heavily corporatized financial sector where monopolistic platform control dictates the livelihood of independent retailers and warehouse workers. Modern cards today are printed with specific regulation marks such as F, G, or H, located in the bottom corner. Annually, the oldest active regulation mark is retired from the standard tournament rule set in a systematic mechanic known as rotation. In 2025, all the cards that had the F mark were rotated out of the tournament. Historically, staple cards that traded traded for $30 to $100 during the peak competitive time plummet to $2 to $5 immediately when the rotation changes. A massive driver of daily transactional volume is players actively building decks for tournaments. The financial value of these cards is completely dependent on their legality within the game's rules. The economic impact of rotation is immediate and predictable. High rarity alternate cards with art retain value because demand is rooted in the look and aesthetics. Conversely, standard rarity cards with powerful in-game abilities are high volatile assets with a known expiration date. Smart investors will track upcoming regulation shifts and liquidate playable staples months before the rotation date. Now let's talk investing. If you placed $100 in the S&P 500 in 2017 and reinvested all the dividends, the asset would have grown to around $260 by the end of 2024. This represents around a yearly return of 13 to 14%. Over that same time, highly coveted Pokemon sealed boxes returned well over 200%. That's roughly giving you around $300. Now, these collectibles do have their costs. Traditional equities offer instantaneous liquidity. When you sell a stock, you get that money right away, usually with no commission. Holding physical product can be kind of illiquid. Liquidating a sealed Pokemon box or flipping cards on eBay usually gives you around a 15 to 20% sales fee. They also require storage, sometimes insurance, sometimes protection for the card. People estimate that these costs can sometimes consume around 10% of the value, alongside with an estimated 15% when you sell the card. So 200% is really good, but there are some costs that come with that. And these things do take quite a bit of space. To navigate this effectively, successful participants often build custom databases to track market values and calculate the exact profit margins. The consensus among financial pragmatists is that while Pokemon acts as a lucrative diversification tool, it lacks the inherent yield and massive friction costs make it a poor substitute for your retirement. They do recommend sticking to the stock market for your retirement. The economy of Pokemon cards is a highly capitalized environment where participants must navigate the gap between the card's intrinsic utility as a piece of cardboard and its speculative value as a highly coveted financial asset.